Oh, wait.
No, it started.
What is happening? Freak. Not right now. Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. We'll give everyone a minute to join before we begin. In this minute, go grab your coffees or just add onto the chat where you guys are joining from. Awesome. I see Brian's from Calgary. We have Richard from San Diego, Brian from Ohio, Jason from Colorado, Paul, New Jersey. I see it all over the place. We have a little technical issue as we are starting up here today. We're going to have Milka join back with us and share the screen. Awesome. I have again Calgary, sound not working. Paula, check your. I think everyone else can hear, so please check your speakers. Jersey, Channel Islands, Vancouver, Iowa, someone from San Jose. I'm here in San Francisco. Awesome. Thanks for confirming, Brian, that you can hear me. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get things started here. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for our Fieldwire for Framing Subcontractors webinar here today. My name is Pranati Gumpa, and I'm a marketing program manager here at Fieldwire. Before we begin, I would like to address a few housekeeping items. Um, to run the session smooth, all the attendees are muted, but please don't hesitate to ask any questions you may have in the Q&A panel. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Again, the Q&A panel is just the place where you were adding your locations. Go ahead and add any questions you have there, and we will get to them at the end of this presentation, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can. For any questions that we don't get to, our experts will reach out to you directly. We also have some poll questions during the webinar for you to participate in. So please feel free to select your answer when these questions pop up. Additionally, at, additionally, we have a short 5-question survey at the end of the webinar, which we would really appreciate it if you could fill this out. And this survey basically helps us to understand the usefulness of this webinar and also helps us to plan for future content and like future webinars on the topics that you guys want to hear us talk about. So before we dive in, let's give Milka a minute to join again. She has some issues. Let's go ahead and get started with the first poll question, which is, what type of company do you work for? I want to quickly check what are the different companies you guys are joining from, or also there's like an other. If you're selecting other, I would love to know what this other is. Go ahead and add that into your poll in the chat right there. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I have another question. What is your role at your company? Just quickly again select what's your role. It just helps us to understand the demographics of these webinars and again like cater our content a little bit more specific to what we see here. Also, if you're saying other, I would love to know what is the other. Go ahead and add that into the poll, sorry, into the chat. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Let me go back to our presentation screen here and go ahead and share my screen. Okay, perfect. So Milka is still signing up or trying to like get back onto the computer. Her laptop apparently stopped, so we're trying to figure that stuff out. I just want to give a quick minute and quick intro to Milka. Milka will be hosting this webinar. Again, she is our construction success manager. Milka has been with Fieldwire for a couple of years now, and she has a background working with GCs. So she brings that working with GCs, that experience that she had in terms of working on these different workflows. And that is what she helps that is how she basically understands and helps our customers to get full value um, out of fieldwire. Let's jump back into a quick agenda for today. So we will start with a quick introduction. I will also have Milka reintroduce herself. Again, sorry for this whole mess, and you cannot really predict the technology issues. So we will do a quick introduction. Then we will do a quick overview of Fieldwire and what Fieldwire does in case if you haven't seen Fieldwire before. We also have Anne, who is from US Framing here, who would show us how they use Fieldwire and how they are um, getting the best out of this Fieldwire. And then we will end the session with a quick Q&A. Perfect. So, if you haven't seen Fieldwire before, this is like a crux of what Fieldwire does. Fieldwire is a project management platform that helps you to access and share information. So, you have all the modules like plans, RFI submittals, which will help you to store the information and share it with all the other stakeholders that you're working with. It also has a pillar which is planning and managing work. So the task management, messaging, punch listing, all of that, all those modules help with planning and managing work. And the third bigger pillar is tracking and reporting progress. So the forms, reports, files, change orders will help you to like track and report the progress on your works. Without further ado, I would also like to welcome our guest here. And do you want to do a quick intro?
Thank you, Pranathi. My name is Anne. I'm the startup coordinator for US Framing. I've been working with the company for 5 years. I'm mainly responsible for setting up Fieldwire for all new projects, maintaining project templates and reports, and helping standardize how our field operation and our field team work using Fieldwire.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anne. Let's dig into the demo part of this. Lan, and let me stop sharing the screen so that you can share your
Okay.
screen for this.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm just waiting for your screen to pop up.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me see what's going on. All right. Can you see
Where-
my screen? Okay.
Yes,
All
I
right.
can.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All right.
Uh, Maybe, Anne, can you maybe start us with walking us through the project setup at your end?
Yes. Yes. Gladly. All right. So anytime we get a new project or a new project starts, again, I'm responsible for making sure all the plans are uploaded. So typically I would go up to the left where it says new project, and create a new project. I'm gonna just use this name, Summer House. And with our project setup, we typically will use templates. Um, and we'll go into templates in a little bit here. So just go ahead and select whichever template you have set up for all your projects, and then go ahead and create the project. In this case, it will ask us to go ahead and upload the plans. So this is how it works out. Upload whatever plans you need to upload. And in our case, we have categories that we have set up when it comes to tracking all our tasks. So right here, if I need to add any other categories, I'll be able to go ahead and do that here. And next item will be adding our team. Whoever needs access to this, we have different levels of access. In this case, I'm going to invite myself as the admin. And then once that is all done, my project is set up with all my folder names, all my task attributes up here. My files, all my folder names are uploaded from the template, as well as any form templates. Typically, it will prompt you to add in an address. Let's see. But once it gets over that prompt, it will upload all my templates, and my project is all set up and ready to start using.
Awesome. Thank you so much for showing us and walking us through the project setup. And
Mhm.
we have Milka back up here. I will give it to Milka. Milka, maybe do a quick introduction and then we can continue with the webinar.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Milka. I'm a construction success manager here at Fieldwire. And my role is to be a go to resource person as you go through rollout of the software and ongoing use of it. So I do training, onboarding, design workflows, and I'm really here to make sure that Fieldwire works the way you build and not the other way around. So prior to joining Fieldwire, I worked for several general contractors in New York, mostly in the healthcare world, spent some time in the office and in the field as well. So I have a decent understanding of the different challenges that teams face when they're working on construction projects. And I use that experience to help bridge that gap between construction operations and the software tools that are used to support them. So thank you, Pranati, for taking over for me. And I know you were showing us your project template. So what's the biggest benefit of having a project template set up?
So far, I believe the biggest benefit is just setting, saving time for me when I'm setting up new projects because our Fieldware projects follow the same structure. The template allows for a quick process to create the project without building tasks. Tasks typically will take a few minutes to get set up. So that's saving a lot of time with that. Having the same attributes, the plan folders typically do not change for us. So again, it saves us a whole bunch of time. That took me less than 5 minutes to go ahead and set up. So yeah, that's the biggest benefit is saving time and
Yeah,
standardizing the process across the board.
that's great. So, can you go into one of your existing projects and maybe show us how your team is using the different task statuses and what the task dashboard looks like?
All right. So on this project, we already have some tasks created. So typically, again, as I showed before, once the template is set up, we have different attributes that we use. We have internal issues that we track, external issues. This is issues that affect us when it comes to our general contractor or our client. If there's an issue on their end that is impacting our schedule, it will go under the external delaying issues. If we're running into any material needs, this will be highlighted in this section. Whenever an issue is resolved, it will be placed in this in this attribute right here. When it comes to categories, we use the categories to track or separate the issue. So if you have a blocking issue, you're easily able to navigate using that category and just highlighting whatever blocking issues you may have or any blocking tasks. So categories come through whenever you're trying to just see specific items. Um, and then see here. Yeah, that's how our task will look on an ongoing job. If you just want to see all the tasks, you just click on all tasks and it will highlight all those tasks that you have open on that project.
Can you click on maybe one of the internal issues tasks and kind of walk us through what that workflow is like?
Okay. So whenever you need to create a new task, and I'll show you the existing one already, it has pictures and all of that. You just click on new task, enter the title of whatever the task is, say missing blocking, and you are able to click on the status to show exactly what status you need. So if this is an internal issue for our framers, they would go ahead and select that. If it's an external issue, you would select that status. So you have about four statuses that highlight exactly where that report is going to go. So in this case, we have a missing fire extinguisher cabinet. Once that is created, select the task. This is an internal issue, you'd select the category affecting the blocking. You would be able to go ahead and assign that task. In this case, I've assigned it to myself. You're able to go ahead and tag or highlight what page that issue is affecting. You can add that right here. And locations, this is in building B. Go ahead and select that, whatever level. If there's a start date, so say this issue started today and you want this issue resolved by end of day or maybe the next day, you're able to choose your end date, put that or no, put that person on notice and let them know that they have a deadline for that. If there's any quantity, say it's 3 file cabinets missing on that floor, you're able to highlight that quantity here. And for watchers, this is whoever needs to be watching this task, be it the project manager, the senior manager in the office, and then any supervision on site. We're able to highlight that, and you're able to also add a photo of that area, either from your files or existing photos in your Fieldwire. If there's a file that you want to attach, you're able to do that as well as forms. And once that task is assigned, it automatically sends out an email to that person letting them know, hey, you have a pending task in Fieldwire that needs to be completed.
Thanks for walking us through that. So we're going to take a quick pause here and take a poll. So how does your team primarily manage internal issues or work coordination on site? Tasks in Fieldwire, text/phone calls, whiteboards or paper notes, verbal communication only, a mix of everything, no standard process. So we see the polls coming in. Looks like most people are doing a mix of everything. Wow, 78%. That is a huge chunk of people who have no standard process for managing their internal issues. So that is great insight. We're going to go back to our demo now. So another interesting workflow that you've developed using tasks is using the tasks to request materials from the general contractor. So for turnkey projects where the GC is the one providing the materials, you're using tasks to request materials. So how does that work on your projects?
So once you run into that issue, or right before, typically we ask for materials way ahead of time, track our needs. We would track that issue under external material needed. So again, go ahead and create a new task, make sure the status matches. So this is an external material need, would highlight exactly what material we need. So in this case, we need about 60 bolts and nuts for the stringer attachment. Again, this is a hardware category. Go ahead and highlight that. Once you assign that to whoever is going to be tracking that, in this case, it'll be me or the field superintendent. And we're able to add the page or sheet that that's affecting. Select the location. This is good to know exactly where that is going from our takeoff. That way we can know, hey, this is this amount of material is needed for this building, and how much we are also able to track how much we have so far and highlight the level, the quantity of the number of screws and nuts that we need. In this case, it'll be 60. And then from our takeoff, we're able to highlight exactly, specifically what material that is going to be. And again, add the watcher to that, and it will send out a notification as well. So once that is all created, at the end of the day, we are able to go ahead and send out a report. In this section right here, you're able to generate a report and highlight who exactly needs to get that report. In this case, again, the status are highlighted, specifically highlighting what issue that is going to, or what material we need. So once that report is sent out, this is how it will look. It highlights, oh, I'm sorry, that's not it. I'm sorry about that. So we will say notice of need. We have a description specific for our notice of needs that go out to the general contractor. The recipients will be typically listed up here, and it has the date that that report was sent out as well. And this is how that report will look when it goes out to our general contractor, our client, and our internal team as well. Again, it shows the description, what category that is affecting, the plan, the assignee, and the status.
Yeah, thanks for showing us that. Something I noticed was back in the task, you had custom task attributes. So was there a drop down where the
Mhm.
users could select the exact material that they needed? Can you show us that?
Yes. Right here. Sorry, I did not click on the drop down. So from our takeoff, we would have all the material, all the hardware that is specific to this project, and you're able to go ahead and highlight or select whatever material it is that is needed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I really like this setup. It's very user friendly, so there's no
Mhm.
guesswork. The field can simply, click on a drop down, select the material from the takeoff, and it's a very clear and consistent way for the GC to get notice of materials needed. So thank you for showing us that. So what about for projects where US Framing is the one that is supplying the materials? How do you keep track of those deliveries and those materials on site?
So for our internal material take forms, we use forms. So this is a form that we as an internal team build and came up with. I already have a test open. So this is how, let me see. Just want to make sure you guys are able to see that. So this is how that form will look like. We break down our material specifically to what material it is. So that PT material, for plate material, header material, it's all broken down specific to that project and that takeoff that we have. So in this case, say on that day we received hardware, you're able to go in and we have drop downs again from the takeoff. We input all this information and you're able to select exactly what hardware you received, the quantities, and then if there are any additional notes that you need to add, you're able to do that here. And then at the very bottom, we are able to upload pictures either of typically we ask that you upload the picture of the material itself and also the delivery slip that you received. Once that's signed and the status changes to submitted, this will be sent out to our internal team and our material suppliers. That form will look like this when it's distributed. So again, highlights exactly what day that was received, the assignee. Then right here, it shows that we received a bunch of hardware that day, and these pictures, and that's how it would look on the end of the recipient of that report.
Yeah, so why did you start using Fieldwire, our form module to track the deliveries? Like, how are you doing that before, and how has it changed since you started using forms on Fieldwire?
Using forms has really helped us simplify the process. Before we were tracking deliveries manually, so taking pictures, sending them into the office, and having somebody sit down and from that picture of the delivery slip, pretty much mark off what was delivered. It's not um, an open or it's not in the same spot. We're not tracking all that material in the same spot. It's just pictures of delivery slips in the emails. I don't think that was running very smoothly. There's a whole bunch of back and forth. In this case, when we are using forms, it's all in here. Somebody can say, "Hey, I want to see what delivery was sent out on the 10th." They're able to track all that information on here, very concise in that we're using our material takeoff to upload that information and make it easier for our field team to know exactly what has been received and what is still pending.
Yeah, that's a really great way to just consolidate all of the information. Fieldwire is all about having that centralized source of truth. So it's really great that you could have that workflow for the material deliveries. Earlier, you also mentioned that once that form is submitted, it gets distributed internally. Can you tell us a bit
Mhm.
more about how that works in Fieldwire?
Oh, yeah. So when a project is being set up and we're ready, typically a week before we mobilize on site, I will go into the manage template option. See here. In the manage template, you're able to add an email distribution list. So any person that is pertinent to this information, the project manager, the senior manager, and then the suppliers are all added onto this section right here. And once you have to unpublish the form, I'm sorry. So once all that information is input here, anytime the status of that form changes, you go back. So anytime that status changes from draft to submitted, it's automatically distributed. That takes out the guesswork. So the super is not sitting there asking who needs to receive this report. That part is already taken out. The only thing they need to do is track whatever material is being delivered. And once that status is changes to submitted, it's automatically distributed.
Yeah, that's really great. It really reduces that friction for the field users, especially we know in the field they just like to get work done and not really get involved with technology. So it's really great that Fieldwire takes care of the routing for them, so they can focus on the work at hand. So we're going to take a quick pause again for another poll. What's your biggest challenge with inspections today? Select all that apply, keeping records organized, making sure inspections are completed on time, sharing documentation with the GC, tracking issues and follow-ups. We don't formally track inspections. So it looks like tracking issues and follow-ups, that is the biggest reason why, or the biggest challenge people are having with inspections today. So after this, we will take a look at how US Framing is managing and tracking all of their inspections and safety documentation.
All right.
Yeah, so another use case for forms other than the material deliveries, like we mentioned earlier, is the safety documentation. So can you talk to us a bit about how US Framing is doing that?
So we typically will use for safety, mainly it's 3 forms. There's the JSA that is sent out daily, and then there's the inspections for all the equipment that we might have on site, and we also have the safety audit. So for inspections, we will have multiple pieces of equipment on site. So say we have a forklift on site. This is the inspection form that we would use. Let me see, I have a test open already. So this is how our form looks like for the forklift inspection. There's the person that is inspecting the equipment, what type of forklift it is, and then we go down a list of items that need to be checked every time a piece of equipment is brought on site. So these are all the questions that the super has to go through, mark everything off. Um, at the bottom, we have different drop down options. So it's either NA, not applicable to that piece of equipment. It's either satisfactory or unsatisfactory. So if they do select unsatisfactory on an item, at the very bottom, they have to put in a comment saying exactly why that was marked that way. And once that form is completed, an operator has to sign that form and upload a picture of that piece of equipment. Once that is done and the status again changes to submitted, this form will be sent out, and see anytime there's a missing piece of information, it's not going to let you close it out. So we have to be very careful about that and make sure everything is checked off. So once that is submitted, it goes to our internal team, which will be the safety director, our project manager, our senior regional manager. And that goes for all the safety forms. Again, that's just an inspection form for the forklift. This is how it will look like once it's sent out um, to the internal team.
That is a great setup. Thanks for showing us that. So what has been the biggest benefit of digitizing your forms instead of, filling them out manually for your field team and also for the office who's reviewing that documentation?
So we all know that sometimes there's issues with equipment on site, or maybe something was delivered and it's not safe to be used on site. We're able to either send this out to the supplier and say, "Hey, the equipment that you sent us was faulty." If there's ever an accident, knock on wood, we never wish for that. We're able to go back, again, same thing where it's all consolidated. We're able to go back and review all this information in one place and be able to either whenever there's an issue like there was an accident on site, we're able to review the safety document, making sure what caused that. um, Whenever there's an investigation, we're able to go back in one consolidated place and find all those documents to find out exactly where there was an issue. Could this have been prevented? So that whole consolidation and access to information makes it so much easier. You're not digging through emails trying to find information, it's all in one spot.
Yeah, that's great. There's a clear audit trail of documentation, so whenever it's needed in the future, it's really easy to reference. So you also upload a lot of files on your projects, and some of that can be very sensitive. You don't want everyone on the project to be able to see all of the files and documentation. So how do you manage access to the files that may be more sensitive on the project?
Um, Good question. So on our projects, we have different users, right? We have different accesses. We have the admins, the members, and the followers. Our part, our follower access is typically provided to suppliers, material suppliers, and we do not want them seeing everything that we upload. This again, sensitive information that we have on here. So I'm able to change the access. So in this case, on this contact sheet, not everybody needs access to it. It's just mainly for the superintendent and the admins to see or reference to. So I'm able to come in here and change that access to just admins and members, and that locks it out for any followers. They don't have access to that. We have a few of those items that have those permissions. Some other files, anything without that little padlock is open to anybody out on site and they can review that information.
Yeah, that's great. Managing access on, important documentation like that is very important. So thank you for walking us through how US Framing is using Fieldwire to manage their projects. And it was really great to hear the benefits that you are getting out of it. So now we can open up the floor for any questions, and we will wait to hear from the attendees.
Yep. Thank you so much, Anne and Milka, to walk us through the use case of US framing. And the first question here is for you. Maybe you can share your screen and show this, Anne.
Mhm.
So you walked initially, you showed people how to set up projects using templates. So the question here is, are there any templates that are already set up to start from? Maybe can you walk us through the different templates you guys have already set up beforehand so that the project creation doesn't take a lot of time?
Mhm. Sure, more than happy to do that. So we have a few that are typically set up before. So like any material deliveries for our safety audits, our JSAs, those are items are already set up before. Um, I believe Fieldwire does come, like the daily report, I'm sure is one of those that automatically comes with your project. Let me see. Let me
Yeah,
go,
it does.
and I do not have.
Maybe we're talking about like the template in general, like the project templates. Like, can you
Mhm.
show us, like, if you've set up multiple templates? Yeah. Can you talk about
Let me
this?
see. Yeah. Oh, setting up the whole project template. Okay. Let's see. So this is how our project templates. This is exactly what you're asking about, right, Pranavi? I want to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
I'm addressing the
exactly.
right thing. All right. Sorry about that confusion. But this is how my project template looks like. So I'm able to like update all this information, change the time zones, all of that, our working days, notifications that need to be sent out. This is where I would set up the task. So the manage attributes, this is
Hmm.
where it's all set up, like the quantities, um, the categories, if I need to add any other custom attributes, like how we were talking about the material deliveries and the takeoff. This is where I'd come in and create that list from. Okay.
Awesome. That
And
makes
then
sense. And then you
yeah,
have
all
your folders.
All the folders, planned folders, this is where I would edit that if I needed to make any change for upcoming projects. Form templates, this is where we would add them or remove them depending on what project that is. So we're able to select whichever ones we need to add. Hold on just a second. Let me hide this. So if I needed to import a different template, I would just click on import and add that from here. This is a list of all the templates that I might any form templates that I might have. Any files and folders, this is where you would edit that, either remove or add more. So the template, once this is all done, makes it so much easier. I would again, Fieldo, I believe, is moving towards using templates. This is the best thing I believe that's happened so far for me for project setup.
That's
Yeah, and
awesome.
I quickly also wanted to add, so Fieldwire doesn't come with any templates that are set up like project templates. And the reason why is because we have so many use cases. So it gives you that flexibility to build your own from scratch. However, we do have standard form templates like Ian mentioned. So we have standard inspections, daily report forms that you can also use and add them to your project template.
Awesome. Thank you. The second question, I think, Anne, you touched on it a little bit, is how to set up the level quantity details, like basically the custom task attributes. How
Mhm.
to set those up? Can you just quickly go over that again? Thank you.
Yeah. So directly from the template, you would go to the task section and under manage attributes, you're able to manage that, maneuver it however you want to have that set up. Again, this is where I would add all the lists, my little drop downs that I had for the levels, the sections. You would just need to come in here, and typically most of that is a list. So you'd click on list, account list. You would either have, if you have one created, it will be on here. If you need to add a new one, just click on manage account list and it will take you to a different section where you can add that list. And that will be your drop down for all that information. So like in this case, in the color category, I have all this for my equipments. I'm able to either add new items or you can create a new one. Does that make
Perfect.
sense? Okay.
Yes. There's also another question, which is actually going back to the lists part of it. Um, so you're basically using materials that are, you have like those drop downs for materials and stuff like that, right? So how do you get those materials imported into Fieldwire? Like, do you have to manually input it, or do you use the import option and just import a spreadsheet?
I typically use the manual import. I
Got
find
it.
that's easier for me to maneuver that information. I know Milka has walked me through how to use like import a file. Um, that is another option, but for myself, I just manually import that information, copy paste.
Got
Um,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you can always like either copy paste. You basically can like take the list of materials from any other projects that you have and create a list on Fieldwire by just copy pasting the Excel spreadsheet. Awesome. The next question is, Milka, you can take this. Is Fieldwire able to work on iPads?
Yes, so Fieldwire does work on mobile devices, whether it be Android or iOS, and most of the functionalities that would work for the field on the web also work on the mobile device.
Perfect. Next question we have here is there a time tracking or time card feature to Fieldwire?
Yeah, so we do time tracking with our forms module. So that is the way that we've seen some other people do it. We do the forms module, it's very flexible. You can use it for multiple things. So we do have some of our clients who are using forms for, timekeeping and tracking of their workers. So that's the way it can be done within the platform.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Do you maybe want to share your screen, Milka? And this is another question for you. How long does it typically take from purchase to full implementation on your projects? Oh wait, is this for projects or is this for Fieldwire? I'm like confused here.
It varies. I cannot like this projects again where I uploaded plans last year and we still haven't gone into framing yet. So it takes a while depending on when we bid the project and when we start the projects. Um, a project manager might have a better answer for that, but how it works on my end is it might be a year. I might get the plans when they start bidding the project. I might get the plans maybe on some projects where we start within a month's notice. So it varies for us.
Yeah,
From bid to build can be there's a lot of issues that come up, permitting, weather delays, all of that. So I would say from 1 year 1 year is generous actually, so it just depends.
got it. Got it. No, I was actually confused if this was Jason. Can you give us a little bit more clarity on is it the projects that you're talking about or purchasing and implementing Fieldwire that you're talking about? And we can definitely go into that. Um, Milka, probably you can take this question. This like a little bit of if I'm able to master Fieldwire, what role can I serve in a company? Or what
Yeah.
role can someone with Fieldwire background occupy in my company?
Yeah, so Fieldwire has two sets of tools or suites, like we call it. We have the field tools. So this one is mostly used by the field users. So anyone from superintendent, assistant supers, project coordinators, field engineers, they're the ones using mostly the tasks tool and doing plan markups and things of that nature. So all of these roles would be the ones using mostly our field tools. And then we also have our PM suite. So this one is mostly for RFIs, submittals, change orders, and budget. So people who would typically use these tools most often would be your project managers, assistant project managers, also even project coordinators. So these are the roles that typically use Fieldwire.
Perfect. Thank you. And I got a little bit more clarity on the implementation question. Milka, it would be nice if you can take this and walk us quickly through the deployment and what it looks like. How long after purchase of Fieldwire were you able to start using it for your company? Or maybe, Anne, this is, you can also take this. Do you know when you guys started using Fieldwire and how long did it take to set up, Anne?
I am not sure. When I came in, we were already using Fieldwire. I don't know how I wanna say they were probably using it for 4 years before I started,
Oh, wow.
around there. Yeah, so I don't have a clear answer on that.
But Milka can generally walk us through the process.
Right. So a typical deployment takes about 3 months. However, we understand every client has different needs. So we are able to tailor that timeline to fit their needs. So if someone wants a faster deployment, they want it to be expedited, we're able to, work with them and expedite the timeline. If they want it to be longer or phase out the deployment, we can also do that. So it really varies based on the client's needs. We will do whatever works best for them. In a typical deployment, we have our kickoff, we align on what the needs of the client are, what training needs we need to provide to them, and also what resources after deployment we need to provide to them. So again, like I said, it varies. It really depends on whatever works for the client. We will adjust to that timeline.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Milka. We're almost at time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this webinar. And please stay back for like a couple of minutes to fill our survey after this. And Milka, thank you so much for going through your workflows and also answering all the questions that our viewers had today. Have a good day, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.
And let me do the survey. And please take a few minutes to fill the survey.